Hi, this is Shubham Tiwari,
Hi, this is Langan.
and welcome to the Salespanel podcast, where we bring to you the journeys and the playbooks of thought leaders from the B2B world. Tune in for all the things on data driven marketing, product led growth, and customer intelligence. Today, our guest is a SaaS B2B advisor, angel investor who's changing the way people use LinkedIn. He's the CEO of LeadDelta, which was voted number one product of the day on Product Hunt for the second year in a row. Some say he's the second best thing that came out of Serbia, besides Djokovic, of course. Thank you, Elijah Kosic, for that app description. And I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, the pronunciation of your name. So joining us from the Greater Toronto, Canada, Ved Rasic. Welcome to Sales Panel.
Hey guys, so awesome to be here. Thank you for good prep and everything you're doing. I think it's awesome for the SaaS community.
Sure, it's great to have you here on the show, Ved. So please tell us about your journey.
For sure. In short, I'll also tell you a joke. You joked about Djokovic, so I'll tell you another one. So everybody actually thinks that I'm from India, because in Canada I go by the nickname Ved. Instead of veteran, and then everybody's like, oh,
it's a very common
name. They trace it back to the books and everything, and especially when I pronounce it so that North Americans can understand it. So I don't say Rasic, I say Rasic, and then they're like, oh yeah, well, which part from India are you from? And I'm like, I'm from Mumbai,
So you say it like Ved or is Ved?
The first one, yeah.
Ved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's North America approved, I guess.
Yeah. There you go. So that's well, anyways, guys, so thank you for having me, and for your audience, I embarked on the SaaS B2B journey some 7 years ago, maybe a bit earlier. Tried multiple different projects, failed some, made some minor success with the others. The last one in 2020, we sold AutoClose, and today I'm a CEO and co-founder of LeadDelta, which basically helps you to manage your social capital better. To expand that, we also help B2B professionals use their networks better by combining their entire social capital into one unique platform. In other words, looking at how we run CRMs today, CRMs are there to run deals. What we're trying to do is to help you run relationships and understand who knows whom and how you're related. So there you go. That's what I do nowadays.
Right. So speaking of LeadDelta, you recently won, the second best pitch of the day at the inaugural Catapult Accelerator program. Yeah. Now with VCs and angels around the corner for LeadDelta, what is your growth strategy in both the short as well as the long terms?
Right. So we are. So we're coming from a bootstrapped, self-funded background, right? So both my co-founder and I, and actually the entire team is from the bootstrapped background. So we're not really keen on taking a lot of VC money, especially not in the early days. So we're optimizing for angels, right? We already formed a syndicate around a very Silicon Valley famous person. Like that's probably going to be public in a little while. So they will be running the round for us. And this is a very different approach where people are trying to optimize to get as much upfront and whatnot. We have a very clear target, the fact that I'm originally from Serbia region, so around the Balkans, right? So I have a lot of talented people in that region. Now, it's not price-wise is not where it used to be before, but I have to say that we're very lean in our operation, and we're not even as affected by the crisis as many would say. But I guess we're going to talk a bit more about that. So. Speaking of our growth strategy, it's very clear we're not gonna invest a ton of money in ads and PPC. That's not what we want to do. However, we want to amplify the community growth, which is what we're doing. We keep saying, like, when you log into LinkedIn, I want you to see LeadDelta. Like that's the kind of the North metric. So if you want to learn something about LinkedIn, if you want to learn something about networking and social capital, we want to be there. So we're going to optimize for longevity strategies such as SEO. We're going to optimize for a predictable sales process. which is roughly like 10% of our revenue strategy. And more importantly, we're gonna apply a good principles of a product-led growth, because we believe that's this product is a good fit for that model. So yeah, we're gonna invest a whole bunch of that raise into an R&D, into a product, and then a little bit into growth, but growth is already alive and well. So for LeadDelta.
Yeah, I think we see that sales has basically shifted to LinkedIn right now. Everybody is kind of on LinkedIn. Like previously, emails are there, of course, but everything is kind of on LinkedIn right now. So what I really love what you're doing, like taking the CRM into LinkedIn. That's kind of what you do, right?
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah.
So you bootstrapped LeadDelta, and you also bootstrapped AutoClose, which was later acquired by VanillaSoft. And so how do you compete with these heavily funded competitors that you have while being bootstrapped? Like we are also bootstrapped, so we would like to know.
That's a good one. Well, you specialize, right? So one of the strategies we did with AutoClose, because what founders don't get is when you go broad, everything is expensive. Marketing is expensive, sales is expensive, like everything. But when you go narrow, then literally the question is, who are you integrated with? Like nobody's even asking when you're going to ship, this second big feature or third big feature. People are just wondering, like, are you well integrated within the ecosystem? That's kind of the only thing you need to take care of. And then you open market by market, right? That doesn't have to be geo market. It can be ICP by ICP, right? Like that's how you do it. And so that's what we did with AutoClose back then. I remember distinctly when we were sitting in a boardroom and we were thinking, like, do we go multi-channel or we stay email only? And we produced the best freaking engine to send cold emails. And then you look at outreach, you look at SalesLoft, you look at other big players. Like, how do you compete with them when they have so much money and you don't want to raise? And that's exactly what we did. We specialized, we focused only on North America, and we were really good at providing the data and serving, small, micro to small, to even some medium-sized businesses with a proper engine to run their sales campaigns. And we provided proper integrations and yada, yada. So that was basically kind of the strategy. And it really worked, because then you have a very strong technology. And even if the time comes for you to get acquired, it's easier because, you have good books. You don't have high expenses. You have you have a solid growth rates, and then you also have a very specific market that you own, and you also have very specific assets that you own. So very, very good target for acquisitions, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So AutoClose and LeadDelta, like AutoClose was AutoClose specialized in email outreach and email sales and email marketing, and LeadDelta is right now focusing on LinkedIn. So basically, previously when emails worked better, you had AutoClose, and now since LinkedIn is kind of on the trend here, you have LeadDelta. And both businesses are bootstrapped, and both I guess have a similar customer profile. So I wanted to ask if you are repeating the same GTM strategy and the same success formula, or are you doing things differently now?
For sure. It's similar to an extent, right? Like I'm using what really worked and what's not working. Like obviously I'm changing. So I think that is, that's why they say statistically, even if you fail with your startup, you have, if you remain in the same industry, iterating ideas, like you have a statistically higher chance of succeeding next time. So, the GTM strategy changed a bit because with AutoClose, we went a bit more direct. With LeadDelta, we're a bit more leaned backwards and indirect. So we're trying. So when the proper ICP lands, we're really trying for them to have an excellent experience, like a white glove onboarding, like a best in class, demo process all the way to the onboarding with customer success. So we're there like on the chat support, which people really don't expect from a small business. Like they don't expect you to be there all the time, but we are. We provide videos, we provide materials like all the freaking time and on one-to-one basis. So in a very non-scalable way. So people like that, and they want to shout it from the rooftops. And that's exactly our strategy. Our strategy is to figure out the levers to amplify the affiliation, the referrals, and things like that. So and then you will ask me, so what's your affiliate model? Well, we don't even have it. Like it's really hard for us to build a technology on top of it. But we have different ways of tracking that through Stripe codes and stuff. And so people really use that opportunity to help us grow, because it's a very strong community externalized on LinkedIn and other networks. And now we're trying to internalize it. So we have a community within LeadDelta. And this is the big difference from AutoClose. I think our ICPs are more kind of connected than they were in AutoClose. And so that's kind of the principal difference.
Yeah, I think community is right now the biggest advantage, and yes, it kind of makes sense when you say that, because LeadDelta is focusing on LinkedIn, and LinkedIn is all about community, something that you were lacking with AutoClose, I guess.
Yeah. One thing that's very interesting is what you said. It's actually funny. I never thought about that, but so I always thought that with AutoClose we were always late to the market, because I think let's Google it. So Yesware, when it was founded, I think it was Yesware founded date on 2010. And we started AutoClose in 2018, so 8 years later. So and even though you still have, because it's such a huge market and such a strong strategy of teams, people still start email automation tools to this date. So but I thought that we're already late. But with LeadDelta, I think this is the right time. And you have a whole bunch of people entering the game. But and I'm sure you'll ask that question, but like you'll see there's a huge difference between LeadDelta and other LinkedIn related tools. They give you a lot more. However, they automate a whole bunch of activities, which is a very shady zone, and most of these founders are banned from LinkedIn. While what we are trying to do is, yes, it currently plays on LinkedIn, but it's much broader down the road. And we're doing very little without automation, without jeopardizing our clients' profiles.
Yeah, I think with LinkedIn you have to play by their rules, and of course that's the same with any platform. I think we have a question on. I had a question on that. I would get to that shortly, but before that, you mentioned earlier about the market pressure right now, and yes, we are seeing massive pressure on funded businesses mainly, and thanks to because of the recession. And you also saw similar things during the pandemic as well, if I remember correctly. And so do you think staying bootstrapped has helped you shield yourself from these downturns, and how do you utilize these times to grow while your competitors are fighting for survival, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you're building a bootstrap business, you're building a lean operation as well. Like that one equals the other. It's a synonym. And so we're really like, our costs were low. We work with many part-time people that have been with me for years. I haven't paid myself a salary, for some time. So what I'm trying to say, we're very optimized. Sometimes even too optimized, I'd say. And so if you look, again, we're not raising from VCs. We're not going to raise a whole bunch of money, like increase everybody's salaries and be happy for 18 months, right? We're still going to remain a very lean operation, focused on key metrics. Now, again, like I understand the panic, because think about it, the panic spreads faster than the good news, or like the bad news generally spread faster than the good news. So again, you know what? I'm not even reading it. Like even in one of our groups where we have folks from the World Bank and whatnot, like everybody's like, oh, panicking. Look what YC sent to their companies. Of course they sent it to their companies. Their companies, are expecting a 10-20 million follow-on or the next round. Like what the hell? Like it's not even touching bootstrap companies in my humble opinion. And another thing is, this will also prove, like, listen, this is good. Like, this is really good, because it will prove to founders, like, whether their product is useful or not, whether it's the right timing or not. Because what would you prefer? To run a business for like 7-10 years and to burn it into the ground? because it wasn't, set on the right premises? Or would you prefer somebody to let you know, like way 7 years ahead, so that you can start something else? I mean, it's like, it's the truth, right? Like, and I'd love to figure out the truth. And so, yeah, a lot of businesses will go bust, and you know what? Good people will find jobs like they always do. And, everybody else will get a chance to find something that really fits them. That's how I think about it.
Yeah, I think the market was going crazy before this, and like VCs were dumping money on dump shit. Sorry about the language.
Yeah, no, it's a part of my French, huh?
Yeah. So LinkedIn, talking about LinkedIn, we have talked a lot about LinkedIn. So LinkedIn is now a hotspot for building relationships, like we are talking about earlier. And this is not just for salespeople, right? Like especially in SaaS, like every leader is trying to build their own brand on LinkedIn. For those who are getting started with social selling, can you recommend a strategy or strategies, or share some tips with us?
Yeah. So, slow down. Like, it really takes time. Like, you can brute force relationships. Like, you can brute force like anything on LinkedIn. So, and, really like shorten the message, like optimize for trends. Like, I mean, I'm telling you obvious things, but like, don't send long ass messages. Like, ain't nobody have time for that, right? Like, I mean, I've been doing a lot of startup work, in a sense where, like, people invite me to speak on certain topics and whatnot, and I gladly accept it. And there's more and more in-person events, and I love it. But I keep telling people basics. Like, I'm like, don't do long ass messages, and then they ask me, like, can I ask you for advice? And then they send me like a wall of text. Like, I can't react to that, right? So you need to warm a frog. Like, it's really as simple as that. And and then you need to follow up, and then you need to really stay on top of it, so that you make sense when you reach out to the person, like the basic things. And I'll give you a tangible example. So, for example, there was a LinkedIn massive event that they organized, and some celebrities were on there and whatnot. And so the whole event was nice. But I think you can really sum up the whole event in like 5, 6, 7 points. So I wrote them down, and I sent a request to people that were attending the event. I'm like, hey, saw you at the event. Not sure if you really attended. Whatever I said, like, I have like, I have a summary of the whole event. Would you like me to send it over? And they're like, this is probably the best outreach message I ever got. Like, please send me. And so I sent them that. And actually, it's a post from LeadDelta's LinkedIn page. So now they're like, oh, this is actually cool. Like, they're talking LinkedIn, they're giving strategies and whatnot. Sure, let me follow on, right? So, and I don't even have a reminder, oh, go follow up with them, go chase them. Like, I mean, no, like, they're going to see more and more of my content because they just accepted me, and I post regularly. LeadDelta posts regularly. From time to time, I invite them to follow the page, things like that. Then I'll organize something related to a LinkedIn webinar. I'll reach them through my LeadDelta tags, saying, they're interested in LinkedIn growth stuff. So I'm going to reach out, and that's how you do it. Just slow down, and you do your work diligently every day. I mean, that's what it is. So, So yeah, like, in terms of the KPIs, like, some of the things that I'd really track there is really, is your page growing? Your company page, is it growing? Is it not growing? Like, is your number of followers growing? Like, are you getting the relevant people? Like, for example, if you're a bigger company, how many of your employees are posting once a week? And then I would also look into, like, when you look at the summary of those that follow and like and engage and view, are they actually ICPs from your geolocation, job descriptions from your job, the titles from your geolocation, and then really, does that map out to who you're after? Is basically what I would do. So those are kind of tips and tricks.
Yeah, I think you had mentioned earlier about LinkedIn messages, and there's something I would like to add. So basically, what people make a mistake here is that they repeat what they did on emails, right? Like, they used to write long text, and now they send that on LinkedIn. Like, LinkedIn messaging is kind of like, if there's a wall of text on PC, on phone, everywhere is difficult to read. So you have to treat it like a chat platform, right? Yeah, like Messenger.
Yeah. Like look at your WhatsApp, like, see how you message people, and then, like, repeat the same thing. Shubham, you wanted to say something? I think I interrupted you.
I just wanted your input on my outreach to you.
Okay. No, Listen, you want feedback on that? Well, check this out. We're
Yeah,
here.
let's have
We're on
let's
the
have it
show.
live.
Yeah, let's have it live. Okay. Do you wanna share it?
Yeah,
Share
so
the screen or
I'll
something?
just read it out loud. I just said that,
Okay.
hey Vedran, first of all, congratulations on being rated as the best with LeadDelta. I represent Salespanel, a SaaS application for B2B marketers. And I talked about Salespanel a bit. And then I said, you recently said that your team has taught that, your LinkedIn has one big 24/7 conference with every post being a panel discussion. We'd love to know more about such ideas. So I just, coined this sort of idea that would you like to come on our show as a challenge on that?
Right. No, I think that's a really good one. Was that after we connected?
Yeah.
So that's also a good one. For example, because nowadays like people pitch in while sending a connection request.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And so I stopped doing that. Like, I mean, it just didn't make sense to accept these people because immediately they feel like it's a handshake to pitch.
Yeah.
But for example, this is a good one. Like, I mean, it's warm. It's like, it might be a lengthier for sometimes, right? Like sometimes it might be like too much. Speaking about Salespanel is because why not leaving that optional for me to ask, right? Okay, I represent Salespanel. Right. Maybe I just want to ask like, what is Salespanel, right? So leaving a bit more space for people to come back to you, because a while ago I was like that. I wanted to give you everything, so you know everything about me. Yeah. And then you're like, what do I even ask, right? Like I just spam you with a whole bunch of stuff. So for example, it's an awesome outreach message, but I just think that might be, like remove all the unnecessary parts, because it's just easier for me to respond to that. Because when thinking of writing any copywriting, like I think you guys know that as well, the sole purpose of the subject line is to get the email open. Like when you get the email open, like the first line is to motivate you to read the second line. Same thing on LinkedIn, right? And I keep saying, like, it's like playing a tennis, right? Like you mentioned Djokovic. It's like so like imagine if like on the sparring, like a training, one person is just throwing balls at the other, right? Like that's not how it works. It's back and forth. You're warming up, right? So that's, but I liked it. Like, I think it's personalized. It's timely. You didn't comment some of my like super old posts. Like you commented something I wrote recently about, like it's perfect.
Yeah. And let's hope Djokovic wins French Open soon, because he's having trouble on that front. So
that's true.
So coming on, the product hunt, the recent activity, you have launched, successfully on product hunt twice now. Can you share your launching playbook? What did you guys do exactly? And what would your advice be for products that want to get on that platform?
Right. So remind me to send you a link. So I get this question like, I think like 3-4 times a week, and you would be amazed by the profile of people. Sometimes it's like complete noobs, and sometimes it's like people who've raised cash, like who exited businesses and whatnot. So everybody's interested in that. So one weekend I was like, listen, I can't be like spending time with everybody. Like I'll just record a course on it. So I literally Saturday I announced it, Saturday morning. Then I worked on the course, like worked on the copy. Sunday, I recorded it. Sunday, midnight, I published it, and that was it. So anyways, it's in Gumroad. It's, I think, called Product Hunt Masterclass by Ved or something like that. But here's the thing. So I have a very strong community of people that have been following me or with me in some capacity for the past like 10 years. And that's super boring, I know, but like, like I've been posting about things I believe in, and people stayed together, right? Like, so it's a very large community. I help them, they help me, and yada yada. Now that's the first, that's the basics. Now the second thing in terms of the hacks and whatnot, the guys should probably know that at midnight 0.1, right? Like 12:01 a.m. Pacific time, this is when the new day at Product Hunt starts. Right. Before that happens, you gotta have a community of people that will support you, that would upvote you, that know your product, are willing to leave a review. So you'll work your way backwards, what you need to do to get to that stage. Then it's really important to think of the time zones. I think that is the most important key ingredient, because like, who is awake at 12:01 a.m. PST, right? And then you start with them first. And as the time zones are opening up, as people are waking up, you want to be there in their time zone. Like that's a kind of no-brainer tip that a lot of people forget about. For example, don't do any bots. Like that's if you have a competitor that knows what they're doing, like for example, like I did, like I banned 2 guys like twice because we managed to track that every minute they would get the same amount of upvotes, and I reported the activity to producthunt guys. They immediately took off like, I don't know, 100 points or whatever, 100 upvotes. So and just generally, like we can go on and on, but like generally speaking, I think people are mistaking that you're just going to post a great product and it's just going to win. That's never happening, honestly. Like you have to have some community supporting you. So that for people starting, that is a number 1 tip. Like, don't expect miracles to happen. They don't happen. Yeah. You always need production and you always need growth. So yeah, you need to push.
Yeah, I think we get cold feet when thinking about Product Hunt because we have not launched Salespanel or Product Hunt yet. We only launched one ebook once, and I think it was like top 5 or 6 or something. Basically, we didn't have a community. Both me and our founder Paras, we are both introverts, and we did not focus on community till now. So now we are trying to build something and get.
Yeah, that's where I come in.
Show up. So yeah, so we only launched a book, but we want to launch a Salespanel at some point, definitely, and
sure.
We'll definitely watch your masterclass. Yeah.
Let me know. I'll send it over to you guys.
Yeah,
for sure.
Great. So LinkedIn, like we were talking about earlier, staying in their lane. So LinkedIn is a third-party platform, and essentially you are depending on them to not screw you over, right? So let's be honest here, their goal is to sell you advertising and their sales and marketing tools, right? Like Navigator. So anything out of that, they would be resistant. For example, LinkedIn changed its connection request limitation to 100 per week fairly recently, I think last year probably. So that surely affects your customers, right? And since your product is used by companies who are selling on LinkedIn, so how do you work with this, and what do you suggest to businesses relying on LinkedIn for the same?
Everything has pros and cons, right? Like so being platform specific has its benefits, but like also like issues like that, like what you mentioned. I think we're trying to be like, we're very public since day one. Like I don't want to build a business that's going to get shut down by anybody. So we started on LinkedIn because we believe in starting small. And so everything I did so far was very public. I wrote about it. There's no automation, and like we set clear guidelines. Like you can't imagine how hard it is to build features on top of a platform that intrinsically does not want you there, right? So it's very hard, very hard. Yeah. But again, like we're trying to comply as much as, and so we don't overlay their interface. We don't automate. We don't do anything without a permission of a user. That's very important. So there's like 10 items like that. I'm not hiding in Cayman Islands or somewhere like we're registered in Canada and Serbia. And we did have some things with LinkedIn representatives back and forth. So I'm maintaining good relationships with people that are working there, because again, who's LinkedIn? It's people, right, and stakeholders. So I maintain relationships with them, and obviously I'm trying not to do anything that will jeopardize their products, but that will complement it. And I can back up every feature we build with that. So again, we can talk at length about it, but that is the gist. So we're really like trying to be a good neighbor, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Ved, speaking about your other roles, you co-chair Serbian entrepreneurs, mentoring, startups, advising at Jobity, and of course, taking LinkedIn by storm with LeadDelta now. So what's the next thing that excites you the most about this entire B2B SaaS landscape?
It's biased, right? Like what excites me the most is the space I'm in. It's relationships, right? And if you think about it, like I was talking to one of our early customers, and he's like, well, Ved, you can run this business forever, right? Like, because like as long as there's people, like your network will be defined by your network. And it's always like that. I don't care if you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, like if you live in like India, Serbia, Silicon Valley, it's always the same. It's who you know, it's how they perceive you. It's are you annoying? Are you helping? Are you creating? Like it's always around that. And so we're like, I keep joking that we're always at the beginning, right? Like, because we can always innovate with this type of a platform. But I also think it's the right timing, because if you look at Salesforce, Pipedrive, HubSpot, amazing companies, right? Pipedrive serving like small micro businesses, HubSpot, everything in the middle, and Salesforce at the very top. They're all structured around deals. They're all very cumbersome platforms built on an old stack. And I think probably the best thing that ever happened in our industry, well, for Salesforce at least, is them acquiring Slack, because it's a modern company. It's built on modern premises. So what I'm trying to do with LeadDelta is really like to organize how we connect, how we create value, how we capture value. And so this is a long ass mission and a long ass vision of the product. It's again, it's the right time. Like the part I was excited really the most about is when we had a whole bunch of competitors entering the space. And I'm not talking like guys like me who bootstrap a tiny product. I'm talking folks that have a ton of money, a ton of resources, and that puts a smile on my face, because now the game starts, right? Now is the real deal. And so let the best win the market. So, and there's space for everybody, right? Like that's why I keep teaching startups, like, don't worry about like LinkedIn forcing you out of the business. They don't care about you. Like I don't, big competitors, like they don't have time to think about you, because if they think about you, it's likely that you're winning. So, so there you go.
Yeah. So Ralph Waldo Emerson once said that if we encounter a man of rare intellect, we should ask him what books he reads. So this is a ritual that we do at the end of our show. Please tell us about the books that you like. What are you reading nowadays? What you go back to reading, from time to time?
That's a good one. So right now, so I'm actually gonna start rereading Jordan Peterson, like his latest book.
Love him.
Because because he's actually going to be in Serbia when I'm in Serbia. Like, so funnily enough, I lived 5 minutes away in Toronto from his classroom. Really? I never went. And now when he's in Europe doing his tour, I'm going to be there. Like, it's just an irony. But so I'm going to reread some of those chapters. So I'm re-listening Henry Ford's I forgot the name of the book, but like his memoirs, his autobiography. I recommend that, like, because for us, if you ask me, okay, that as a startup founder, what do I read? Well, what issues are you encountering today, right? Is it like angel investing? Is it like what issues are you encountering? And then go and find those resources, because reading far in advance does you no good. Like you need to solve issues now, right? So, but if you still do want to read a book, then I would say go back into history, read some classics, read some like autobiographies. Like that always inspires me and keeps me going. For example, I'd also recommend Nikola Tesla. My inventions, like I read that every time I'm on a plane back to North America. So things like that. That would be my recommendations.
Super. I'm reading his Beyond Order nowadays, and I'm waiting for his the second tour that he's about to release, Dr. Peterson. So that's wonderful. Another ritual, the last thing that we ask for our guests is to nominate someone for our show, somebody who they think who might be a good fit for our show.
Perfect. So there's I actually haven't thought about it, but the first person that came to mind is Nikola, a very bright young guy from Macedonia. He built a business called Howitzer. It's an automation tool. This time around, it's an automation tool for Reddit. So people kind of rave about it. They like it, especially in the crypto space and whatnot. So I think that'd be a ton of fun for you guys. So
definitely Reddit is a tough crowd, definitely, for marketers. They don't like to be sold to.
Yes, correct. So there you go. That's the more interested to get him on board.
Yeah. So Ved Rasic, thank you so much for your time. And if there is anything that you want to talk about, I think it's the time, because if I missed out on something, please, this is your time.
No, in all honesty, like I would just say, like, listen to some of the advice from this show, and you guys are doing a tremendous job. Like you're actually asking amazing questions. And I think founders can get a lot from it. So, stick to the basics in crazy times, like stick to the basics and go crazy on things you see. You can double down on like low hanging fruits that you positioned yourself for. So I think that would be a great thing. And also, like, don't forget to work on your social capital. So, come to LeadDelta, help us reshape the future of how we connect.
Yeah, we are trying to go crazy on LinkedIn right now, so we'll definitely be in touch, and we'll stay connected with LeadDelta, of course.
Yeah. Thanks again, Ved. Thanks again.
Yeah, it was lovely having you on the show.
And thanks to our audience for sticking with us, and we'll see you in the next episode. And please tell us about what you thought of this episode. And you can reach out to Ved on LinkedIn, and you can find us on LinkedIn as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Recording is